Welcome to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome in to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Hayes, with Matt Baker.
That's me.
You can find us at Oh, God.
It's been so long, man. I don't even know if I know where to find us.
Hold on a second. Let me reset that.
Look, we're out there. We're out there.
Oh, my God. AVGFFPOD.com. There it is.
Boom shaka.
We also look for us on Apple and Spotify, just about anywhere you can get a podcast. We're on the Facebook. We're on, that's it. I think that's it. Well, no, I'm pretty sure we're still on YouTube. So go give us a like, follow, subscribe. Help us get this thing going. We are also on Blue Sky, but we don't ever use it. So I hate to tell you. Anyway, we're going to be breaking down the first installment of our draft series, which is only really 2 shows, but it's going to be my phone just lit up because it thought I said her name and I didn't.
Oh, well.
I said series, not Siri.
Yeah, look. See, and Apple phones are so smart. They just don't listen. Or they listen, but too good. They listen too good. That's what it is.
But
too good.
We're going to be breaking down some info on the quarterbacks and some running backs. A lot of running backs to talk about and give a little bit of our insight of what I mean. We watched some film. We did some reading. I listened to a lot of quote experts as well. So, whatever info we can gather in betwixt our full-time jobs, we try to throw out there and give our best analysis. But I'm not going to sit here and act like we sat in, the film room for hours upon hours either. So
speak for yourself.
I will say that I was quite, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I went through the first 2 quarterbacks, just watching some highlight stuff and then just watching some quick game film. And a large part of the analysis that I came up with was also, of the pros and cons was very similar to what I found in some of the scouting reports from PFF and stuff like that. So I will say that, I'm basically a scout for quarterbacks.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But yes, we're going to run through that. I do want to talk briefly. Speaking of quarterbacks, Joe Milton got traded. Joe Milton, and I think in a 7th, got traded to the Cowboys for a 5th. On the Patriots side, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Outside of maybe they were just doing him a solid. I felt like they could have got a 4th round for him, had they pressed hard enough, or they could have just got a 5th straight up for him instead of having to burn a 7th. But the Cowboys, it does make sense to me for the Cowboys. Trey Lance is gone. They do need a backup. They do need youth in there.
Yeah, Cooper's gone too.
And Cooper Rush is gone. And so they do need youth. They don't want to have to burn a draft pick on it. The Patriots are willing to move him. And it gives Milton an opportunity to possibly get some playing time if he can go out there and win the job as a backup, especially with, we know Dak dealing with injury stuff and whatnot.
Last 2 years he's missed games. So
yeah. And so that's out there. And we'll see how that pans out. I don't really think Milton's going to be an NFL quarterback, but I do bring it up a lot also because I think at the end of last season, I kind of gave you some shit because you brought up on air after week 18, Joe Milton playing week 18, where he looked good. I'll give you that, but it was week 18.
Yeah, it was
playing against backups and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
But he put good film out there, and somewhere in our last shows, you just mentioned that maybe Joe Milton, we were talking about quarterbacks moving and things like that. And you said, well, maybe Joe Milton gets traded. I'm like, they ain't going to trade Joe Milton. And so I was wrong. And
now potentially has a shot to be a guy that could start.
It's definitely, I think it's definitely a better opportunity for him because I don't think he was going to beat Drake May out barring an injury. I think they're fully committed to Drake May.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think there's ever going to be really a competition there. And I think, this gives Milton, like we said a second ago, it gives him an opportunity to get some playing time with Dak, dealing with leg issues over the last couple seasons. Mm-hmm. So and missing significant time. So I don't think he's going to beat Dak out, but who knows what Jerry Jones forces them to do?
Exactly.
But Cooper Rush got plenty of playing time as the backup over there. Trey Lance couldn't see the field, but
well, that's to be expected. I mean, if you can't be a good quarterback on the 49ers, you can't be a good quarterback anywhere.
That's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point. I need to see if Trey Lance can get picked up by Minnesota and play under that scheme and not be a good quarterback. Then we'll know for sure.
Exactly. Then it'll be, well, if they just decide not to pick him up, then we got nothing to worry about. They're like, full opportunity and it doesn't happen? Yeah, bye, guy.
All right. Well, from that, let's roll into these quarterbacks. You haven't even heard this jam. Oh, yeah. It's been playing since last season. I just unmuted it.
You just unmuted it? Yeah, turn the volume up.
It never stops playing.
Never stops. It's the longest. That's from Lamb Chops, isn't it? Is that the song that never ends? Or?
No, this is the song that never ends.
I started this.
Yes, that's from it's a small world after all. That's another one. I don't know.
This path that we've gone down.
You started it.
I did.
Anyway, so the top quarterback, I think, on most people's board is Cam Ward out of Miami. He is 22.8 years old as of whenever I printed this paperwork off, a few weeks ago.
22.9 as of
6'2", 219 pounds out of Miami. And watching what I saw from him, I thought he had a very strong arm. That was obvious to me. He's pretty much a cannon. He is a playmaker. He will absolutely make some plays. He reminded me a lot of Caleb Williams and his ability to work off schedule and make things happen when stuff starts breaking down. And he has really good anticipation, especially over the middle of the field with his receivers. He hit these guys in stride, and just giving them opportunity to explode to the end zone. But back to his playmaking and working off schedule, I just thought he played a little too much hero ball, which is common against these uber athletic guys who in college and most likely in high school have been able to just make things happen. They get stuck in this idea that no matter what happens, they can make it happen. And that doesn't generally work well in the NFL, as we saw with Caleb Williams this last season.
A lot of them get humbled. I mean, Baker was similar now too, and you see it's taking what 3
Cam was
years?
Like that too. Yeah, Cam got humbled. So
sometimes the talent's going to show. They just need to realize that it's not just them. It's more of a team sport than they had to do in college. And
his decision making when he's trying to work off schedule, a lot of times, if he's on schedule, I thought he was really good. He made great reads, but when he was off schedule, sometimes he would try to force the ball and throw some picks. And to speak to that too, sometimes he got happy feet when he should have stayed in the pocket and it wasn't necessary collapsing completely. He got out of there, and I think him and Shedeur are both like that in a lot of respects. Shedeur also did the same thing, a little early. Spoiler alert, but what about you? When you saw him out there, what was your takeaway watching him?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Caleb Williams thing, the comparison is really accurate. And like I feel like Caleb Williams didn't have a great year last year, first year in the NFL, but he's got to get humbled. They're all going to get humbled, and I feel the same way. Like Cam Ward, he's the best in this class, and he definitely shows it. But there are points he's going to have to work on in order to get. And depending on where he gets drafted to, I'm
pretty sure Tennessee's going to take him. They have done nothing to get a quarterback, so I think they're pretty dead set on grabbing Cam Ward.
So it might be 3 years before we hear anything really fantasy wise out of him. I mean, just because, Tennessee's kind of in a dumpster fire rebuild. They can't do anything right the last 3 or 4 years.
I mean, Ridley's there is a good receiver, but I mean, their offensive line needs a ton of work. We saw that with Levis last year.
Still needs a lot of work too.
Yeah, defense still needing some work. They need better receiving core. Traylon Burks is not it.
Yeah, no.
And so they're definitely in a full rebuild, and he's not going through as good a situation as what Caleb went into. No. And so we don't know a lot about this coaching staff and what they're going to be able to do. And
maybe they shock things if they can get some pieces figured out, but I don't know that it's going to happen.
And maybe if Cam is that dude,
that's true.
A lot of times these guys, they come out of college and they're able to still kind of do the same things and elevate their game. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But based off of what I'm seeing right now, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, like you said, for at least a year or two.
Fantasy wise, I mean, he may still put points on. I don't know. It's still a lot.
I mean, if you're in a super flex, talking about fantasy, if you're in a super flex dynasty, he's probably, for me, the number 2, 3 off the board. Depending on which running backs.
Depending on what you need.
Yeah, I would take him over Ted if I needed, and we'll talk more about the wide receivers down the road. But I would take him over all the wide receivers in a super flex.
Yeah, and if you're not going to compete this next year, right, he'd be a smart pick early, anyways.
Yes,
holding out for a year, anyways.
Yeah,
so
I would take him number 2 in a super flex where I'm desperate for QB. And I would take him 3 in any other super flex as far as a non-super flex second round, is where I would take maybe again if I'm super desperate at the end of the first, but I just can't see taking him taking any of these quarterbacks in the first round in a single QB.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, so that's that on Cam Ward. I should say these are not our rankings or anything. These are just us talking. We don't rank, and we will come out with some sort of a rank after the draft that we feel more comfortable, because again, we're not breaking down film till the nth degree. So I would have to look at tons of other rankings to kind of get a feel of the rankings.
Yeah,
and so it's not something I'm comfortable with trying to do before the draft. But either way, so the number 2 quarterback we're going to talk about is Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, obviously the son of Deion Sanders. He is 23.1 years old, so he's a little bit older. He is 6'2", 212 pounds. My takeaway from him is he's extremely accurate, and he has very good movement within the pocket. And if the O-line holds up and he works on schedule, he can be he can be an elite processor in the short to mid range, and he can even process the deep. But that is one of his weaknesses. I think it's the first thing that popped off for us is that his arm strength. He's just not a downfield thrower.
He looks like he's struggling trying to push it past 15, 20 yards, trying to get it downfield. It doesn't look comfortable for him. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. But he does protect the ball well. So that's good. But on the other side is, I think he holds the ball. Sometimes he holds the ball too long. He should just throw it away or get it out quicker, make his reads quicker. And his release time is slow. It's not necessarily a death knell. Cam's release time was like 5 minutes for he to get rid of the ball.
Was it that short? Man, I felt like it was. Sometimes I could go to the bathroom, get popcorn, and come back, and
he'd start his throw. Yeah, he'd still be halfway through it. Again, same thing as with Cam Ward, is that he would sometimes play hero ball, and then we talk about the arm strength. But I will say, in his defense, his O-line was hot molten garbage. He had to play hero ball a lot of times.
Yeah.
I would love to see what he can do behind a solid O-line where he does not always have to move outside the pocket, always have to look downfield, always have to force the ball and make things happen. He had some really good receivers at Colorado. Obviously, Travis Hunter is elite. And so he did have that going for him. But, I think that his more than Cam Ward, his situation where he goes is really going to dictate to me how much confidence I have in him.
Yeah, or any kind of value too. Yeah. I mean, realistically,
if he goes somewhere where I trust a coaching staff and I feel like they're going, I don't expect him. I don't want him to start year one.
Yeah,
I want him to go somewhere where he's got to play behind somebody and he doesn't have to go out there and get beat down, because he needs an O-line. He needs to work on schedule. He is not somebody I want to try to be out there making plays on his own as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with that as well. I mean, he definitely is going to need some time, at least off field, and getting the feel for the team and get stuff situated. Shit situated. I don't know why I was trying to censor myself, but
I do feel like he's probably going to end up somewhere that he's going to be forced to.
Going to be thrown under. Yeah, they're going to draft him like Cleveland or somewhere
like that. Yeah,
he's going to have to play week one. Yeah, he's going.
I mean, maybe the Giants, because I don't know if the Giants going to take a QB now. They signed Russell and Jameis, but you don't ever know. I didn't think the Falcons were going to take a QB last season, and I still don't think it was the right choice in the draft where they were drafting. But now it looks like maybe it's like, God, I'm going to go on a little bit of an off tangent here. Everybody's like, well, you see, that's why the Falcons took that quarterback. Okay, fine. Then why the fuck did they go get Kirk?
Why they pay that much money?
Why they pay that much money? Okay, if they didn't trust it, Why the fuck? Because now they're going to have a $60 quadrillion fucking backup on the roster, and you're going to try to tell me, oh yeah, well they were ahead of everybody. No, they went and signed this guy, and they realized they fucked up.
Yeah,
and then they try to cover their ass. So either way, the draft picks a fuck up, or the signing of Kirk's a fuck up. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it. Yeah, it could have been a cheaper, shorter term deal, and still been big money for Kirk. You know what I mean? It still worked out where they could have had him for a year,
or they could have just not signed him. They could have said, you know what? We're going to go draft a quarterback.
Yeah, you know what? Let's give me Desmond Ridder back.
But anyway, so I'm worried Shadir's going to end up somewhere and be forced out there. But hopefully he can, if he ends up, like there's reports that he might end up, him or the next guy we're going to talk about might end up with the Steelers. I think that would be a good situation for him. So
yeah, I mean, just
depends on how far he falls in the draft.
They're pretty decent with their O-line, and I mean they've got talent in receivers and stuff, so it can highlight him, and
a great coach, Tomlin.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, next guy is Jackson Dart out of Mississippi, 21.9 years old. All these guys are 6'2". All the guys we're going to be talking about are 6'2". 6'2", 223 pounds. I came away with strengths. Again, he had great anticipation. He was a very good distributor of the ball. He did not lock in on receivers. He would throw to the open guy. He's got good feet. He will scramble. Move the ball. The offensive system he played in under Lane Kiffin has been known to make quarterbacks look a whole lot better than they are. So that is, to me, a drawback. So that's a little worrisome. It came out of the same system that Matt Corral was in and dominated, and then he turned out to be straight doo-doo cheese.
Not anything really.
So, and the other thing is that he is a distributor, but he doesn't always go through his complete progressions. Sometimes he will. If the first guy's not open, maybe the second, and then he's moving, he's trying to scramble out and make something
around.
Yeah. And so, but when he's on schedule, when everything's working like it is, his anticipation, his ability to get the ball down is great, and he has a really strong throwing arm. So, I mean, he's I think all these guys are pretty much prototypical in size and build, and I think he's as good on the athletic profile and the size profile as anybody. I'm not 100% sure how good he really is based off of the fact that he played under Lane Kiffin. So that's the only thing that's concerning to me overall. What about you?
No, very similar. When he did run, he seemed to run kind of big. Like he liked to throw his shoulder into it, kind of like
that's not going to fly.
It's never a good
Josh
sign.
Allen.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's never a good sign, even though he is a little bigger than the other ones. I mean, he's got like 10, 12 pounds on him, but he's throwing it around a little worrisome to me. Like, you don't want your quarterback to get out there and drop his shoulder and Tua it out. You know what I mean? So that was my kind of worry. If he brings that into the NFL, we could see him being 3 weeks on the bench, and a lot of downtime, injuries and stuff like that. So.
And then the last guy I want to talk about, really, for the most part, is Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, 22.3 years old, 6'2", again, 217 pounds. He seems bigger than 6'2" when you see him play, but he has a cannon for an arm. He is probably the most athletic of the quarterbacks that are coming out in this draft, but he lacks accuracy. He's just very raw as a thrower of the ball. He's very raw. He doesn't like to go through his progressions. He's not very accurate, and when he takes forever, and then he has a tuck and run or whatever. If he plays like he played at Alabama, a great O line. If he played anywhere else, dude would have been getting sacked, or he would have ran the ball a billion more times. So he's definitely a project. If he can put it together. He can be a really good quarterback based off his athletic profile. He's just got to get the decision making down and speed the process up as a quarterback back there. But so that's really the only things that I saw. I don't expect him to get drafted. Maybe mid to late second round would be where I would guess that he gets drafted. Somebody will take a shot on him.
He'll end up being a backup somewhere.
Yeah, I can actually. We just talked about Milton going to the Cowboys. I could actually see the Cowboys taking a shot on him. I'm not sure where they draft in the second round, but he might fall to the third. There's a chance he could fall to the third. But
He does throw enough interceptions to be a Cowboy, so I mean that might work out.
Yes, I mean Quinn Ewers is in this draft. I expect him to be a career backup. Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame's down there who's flashed might be something, but I didn't see a whole lot out of these other guys for me to go, oh wow, this guy could be a dark horse. It just wasn't something that I saw. So
Dallas has got the 44th overall pick, so that'd be what, 10th in the second round?
Yeah, he won't get drafted that high, so they wouldn't take him. All right. Anything else you want to throw in on the quarterback front?
Yeah, no, that's about it.
All right, so let's roll over to the running backs. There is a buttload of them. There are some reports that say that up to 8 or 9 of these guys could go in the first 2 rounds, possibly more, depending on what happens and how things fall. I think because there's a lot of good pass rushers in this draft too, but I think the pass rushers are very top heavy, and they're going to be gone real quick in the beginning, at the top of the draft, and then after that, we'll see what happens. But one name I can tell you that I feel pretty confident that's going to go in the first round, possibly within the top 15 picks, is Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State, 21.3 years old, 5'9", 211 pounds. He did not run a 40 in his pro day or at the combine, but rest assured he's got the speed that he needs. He's an absolute beast. He's got great contact balance. He was a all-state wide receiver his junior year in high school, so he can catch the ball. Boise State did not require that of him in his last year there, but he did it there. He was their third down back, I think, 2 years ago. He's fine at catching the ball. He is a 3 down. Go out and do it. He's speaking about prospects, he's the Breece Hall. He's the Bijan of this draft. He is up there with them. If he was in the draft with Bijan, they would be the top 2 by a billion miles, and everybody else would be underneath them.
Yeah. Which Bijan was the top 1 by a billion miles.
Yes.
Everybody was underneath
him.
So, yeah.
And so I think Bijan's an overall better prospect, but the one thing that Ashton Jeanty has that Bijan doesn't really have is Ashton can get to take the house anywhere on the field.
Oh, yeah.
Bijan doesn't really have that kind of speed to take it all the way to the house. He's a 30, 40-yard burst, and then, but Ashton will take it 80. And so he's a generational, quote, which I think gets thrown a lot of, but he's a, quote, generational type running back prospect. And it's not something you really need to overthink. Dude's a beast.
Yeah, he'll probably end up going like 6 overall. That's my guess.
I don't think
Raiders.
Outside of Barry Sanders, I don't think I've ever seen anybody with the kind of contact balance that this guy has.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
it's unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong, he ain't Barry Sanders, but he might be.
He's a weeble wobble.
Yeah,
he just doesn't fall down at all. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so moving on from him is Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, out of UNC. He is 22 years old, 6 foot even, 221 pounds, and he ran a 4.46 at the combine. And if Jeanty wasn't in this, he would be the one we would all be raving about, in my opinion. He is an absolute banger. He runs downhill. He will run through contact. He'll run through your face. And
he'll run around it too. He's got quick feet. I mean, he's still a really good back. He's a super good back.
Right.
I mean, like we said, if Gentry's the one, he's easily the 2 in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. There are some people that are pushing Travion Henderson up, and even some that are saying Caleb Johnson, but they're Quinshawn Judkins has got his believers out there too. I'm with you. When I watched what I saw is Omarion Hampton had that extra, like my tiers would be Genty's at tier 1, Omarion Hampton is tier 2. And then after that, we can kind of group them. But I think Omarion Hampton's by himself under Jeanty. But on the other side he is an upright runner. So you have to deal with that. But it didn't really phase him much because he was able to drop his shoulder when he needed to. But I think overall he's an upright runner. Yeah. And he did, in my opinion, when I say he lacked elusiveness, I'm just saying in an elite sense, because he was still plenty elusive, especially for his size of speed. But if you're nitpicking, there were times where instead of evading somebody, he tried to run through somebody when he could have, did a little side move or a back
or a reverse hurdle.
Yeah. But I don't think any of that's, really, that was just, trying to nitpick mainly. I think overall, Martin Hampton is a first round draft pick as well. I think that to me personally, I think those two guys are locks for first round.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is going to get sorted out in the draft. Do you have anything else you want to add on top of that?
No, dude. Outside, I mean, he looks so quick. Like if you watch him on film and everything, it's everywhere on the field. It's just he gets the ball and he's freaking gone.
Yes.
It could be the O-line setting up holes and how sometimes that works for certain running backs, but this guy's he's gone.
And when the other thing is he's great at pass protection, which means to me that's something that I like to see, because what ends up benching a lot of rookies, like what's his name for Chase Brown. Brown couldn't get on field because his pass blocking sucked balls.
His rookie year until
and Bucky Irvin couldn't get on the field because his pass pro wasn't great at the beginning.
Yep.
Well, this guy's pass pro is pretty damn good, and which
keeps
means
you on the field.
Which keeps him on the field in opportunities, and so you're there to catch those dump offs when you can leak out on things when the play breaks down. You block, you get beat. All of a sudden, the quarterback dumps it to you. You get 5-6 yards, and you get a reception.
Yep.
Those are important plays, especially in fantasy. So that was a big thing for me as well.
Sometimes pass blocking can be a little more important than that 0.10 speed. That 4.445 difference. If they can pass block, they're going to be out there 60 to 80% of the time instead of 30 to 50% of the time. And
when we look at guys, we'll sometimes sit here and go, why is Najee Harris getting all this playing time over Jalen Warren? Well, because Najee Harris is an elite pass protector.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry, but he is elite at pass protection. So they know when he's out there, he's going to pick up the blitz, he's going to pick up his assignments, and then he's going to be there to catch the dump offs. So that's a lot of times when you see these running backs where you just don't understand why they're getting playing time over everybody else, i.e. what we just mentioned in Cincinnati, when you were seeing all other running backs. What's his lips? Zach Moss. We're seeing Zach Moss.
Smashy Piron was there the first year was there. And
getting these playing time.
Why is he out there?
That guy's so much better. Well, but until he gets the quarterback killed.
Yep, exactly. And so he misses that one block and Burrow's on his back.
I mean, what was that? What was a rookie for Tampa that everybody was like big on, but he couldn't get on the field when Tom Brady was there? I mean, I picked him up in Dynasty.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about too.
Oh God, it's Keyshawn
Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn out of college was a very explosive, shifty, type running back, but he could not get on the field because he almost got Tom Brady killed, and Tom was like, "No,
he was like,
this dude will not be out here."
He was worse than your turnstile, I mean, it was pretty bad, and that makes all the difference.
And you see, now I'm not saying maybe his running ability wasn't good either, but he never got an opportunity to really showcase anything because he couldn't get his ass on the field because he was getting quarterbacks killed.
If you're spending 8%, 20% time on the field where you should be out there 50 to 60, that's you definitely need that pass blocking.
All right, next guy on the list, Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, 22.4 years old, 5'10", 202 pounds. He ran a 4.43 40. I felt that he was very creative in situations where you're just like, you think he's hemmed up, and then he would find a way to either he would try to go through, around, or over defenders. He's very patient. He liked to sit back and let his blockers set up the block. And then he would hit the hole. I don't know. What did I write there? Oh, no fumbles in his 3 years. It looks like Mo Funky.
Oh, yeah. That's what it says. It says Mo Funky.
I said no fumbles, but now that I come back, it looks like Mo Funky.
Yeah, no, it's
3 years. So also... Key point, Mo Funky 3 years.
He was Mo Funky for 3 years. He was a jazz player named Mo Funky for 3 years before he became a college football player.
Helps him with his rhythm.
Exactly. He's got it all figured out. He's got the rhythm figured out.
Oh my God. I remember seeing Mo Funky down in New Orleans at an alley jazz dive bar. It was great, man.
It was very
It's hard to see him through the smoke, but you could just like boom, 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 boom.
But you could feel it though. Everywhere you were, you could feel it. You knew it was going to be a good time. Yeah.
My things against him is he's slightly undersized, 202 pounds. And the other thing was I felt like he's one speed. Once he went, he was gone. He's very patient at the line. But once he decides to commit to running full speed, he just when you get to the second level, I felt like sometimes he didn't check up to try to make any moves. He just kind of tried to keep running as fast as he did to get away from him, or whatever. I don't know.
He ended up out of bounds, or he ended up getting tackled or shifted or something. Instead of
stiff
arms, no slow downs. Stuff. Yeah.
No, so that was the only other thing that I saw, but. But outside of that, I think he's a good back. He's a fringe first rounder, most likely. Definitely a day. They do the second round on the day too, so he's definitely a day 2 pick at worst, in my estimation.
Well, Minoski will pay me $20 to say he's the best running back in this class because he's from Ohio State. So he will be on Minoski's team, no matter where he's drafted, no matter how it goes.
Absolutely, he's going to Minoski's first 3 picks: Justin Fields, Travion Henderson,
all day.
Oh no, he'll get Jamar Chase.
Oh, he'll definitely get Jamar Chase. But in our dynasty league, he's probably going to go after Travion Henderson with his first round pick.
I forget about that.
He's just going to go right for him, right off the rip, and be done with it.
Which might actually be a good pick. I don't know where he's picking this year, but, I remember the year that Traylon Burks came out. He was upset he didn't get him because Traylon Burks was out of Ohio State.
I think
I think Traylon Burks was out of Ohio State. I don't know. He either drafted Traylon Burks and was upset because he didn't get the Ohio State receiver, or somebody else drafted Traylon Burks ahead of him and he couldn't draft him and he wanted to try to make a trade. But either way, if it's the second thing, he lucked out that he didn't get Traylon Burks.
That's very true. Let's see where he played. He played at Arkansas. So.
Okay, so then it was somebody who came out. What draft was that? Was that the Jamar Chase draft?
2021.
Yeah, so that might have been
2022 would have been
whoever. There was imagine that there might have been an Ohio State receiver that came out. So he ended up with Traylon Burks then. So that sucks for him.
That's where he's at.
Yeah,
that's where he's at.
And he was going to try to make a trade. I think it wasn't Jamar because he's got Jamar Chase. I don't know. That's weird. Nobody gives a shit about this.
Jackson Smith was the same. It was that same year,
possibly.
And he was Ohio State. Smith and Jigba.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next guy on the list. Oh, my bad. Did you have anything besides saying that he's the greatest running back in the history of the world because he's out of Ohio State?
He is. I just wanted to put that out there. I want to make sure that it's in the universe so that
yes. All right.
Yep.
Is that it?
No, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much
all right.
it.
Next guy on the list is Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, 21.6 years old, 6'1", 224 pounds. He ran a 4.57, and the thing that surprised me because he looked faster on the field than he did on that 40. He was one of those that I thought he had breakaway. He would break away from defenders. He'd make long runs, and so that was a little bit surprising. I thought he was very agile for his size. His stop start, his work in tight space, his side to side and stuff was very good for somebody that's 224 pounds.
Yeah.
Also I saw him as patient. He would sit back and let his blocks set up. And then I thought he was very explosive also in the short to mid range. Like, he would get from 0 to full speed real fast, Yeah. And so I thought that was good. But the biggest knocked on him that I had was for his size. He's not a banger. You watch Amari and Hampton run the ball, and he did like Marshawn Lynch did. He ran through a motherfucker's face. Caleb Johnson at 224 pounds just seemed a little adverse to try to run through a motherfucker's face sometimes when he should have ran through a motherfucker's face.
Well, it did seem to not necessarily slow up, almost like you were talking about the other guy, how he would get to full speed and he would just run that through.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little on the opposite side of that. Like he would try to stop too much.
He tried to use his shiftiness too much when he should try to run through. Should have just run through
it and just keep going. And so I mean that whole decision making when it comes to point of contact, I guess, is a little off. Like the timing might be off whether he should just run or step back and kind of let them fall through. That was my favorite part when they stop and kind of push
Yes.
him off. Push him. That's my. It's not even a stiff arm. It's like just stop and go.
There's the two things that I love to see when a run back's got the ball or ball carrier's got the ball is I love to see a good ass stiff arm into the ground.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
A good at especially if they dribble them like a basketball
and just all the force just face down. Yeah,
and then like you said, when they just stop and the defender flies in front of them and then they just take off again.
That might be my favorite. Like just when they just go.
I saw Christian McCaffrey do it ended up only being like a 10-yard or maybe a 15-yard run total, but this is back when he was with the Panthers, and he caught the ball on a swing pass, and as soon as he caught it, he turned around, he did that, he did a little jump back, and the guy fell, and then he took off, and then he did it again to a guy just immediately. The next two, and I think they played San Francisco. It was like two guys into the sideline.
Oh man,
it was so embarrassing. Like get on the bus, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Just go home. Go home.
But let's see. Let's get back to Caleb
Johnson. But
and then his pass blocking left a little bit to be desired, which is a little bit concerning to me.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few in this draft that are kind of on the lower end of the pass blocking.
Yeah,
side,
for sure. But when it stands out, those are the ones that bother me. Yeah, there's very few that are you can put it as like, damn, that's their strength.
Yeah, those guys are good.
Yeah, but when it's so bad, where I'm just like,
like what just happened here?
Yeah.
Like, did you really do anything there?
Yeah. So anything? So what else you want to throw anything on the Caleb Johnson? Pile?
No, I mean that really about sums it up. I mean I'm sure he'll get drafted. I just don't know that he's going to be a
he will.
superstar.
Well, I think his 40 time's going to go against him.
Yeah.
But I always try to remember Kyron Williams was like a 4.6 or something.
Yeah.
He was doo-doo. That's why he fell in the draft. So I try to trust what I see on the field, and I think I don't know. Maybe the NFL guys will too, but
I mean they do. It just may not be like this year. You see all this. That's with fantasy. We kind of want this stuff to go now. We're all hyped up and like, oh, what are we going to do? But sometimes we got to sit back and go, you know what? This might be a smart pickup now for later.
I think, and I think Caleb Johnson is also one of those guys that'll work well in a committee.
Yeah. Oh,
it could be very productive. True. He could work in a David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs type situation.
Yeah, that split backfield.
Yeah. Next on the list is Cam Scadaboo out of Arizona State, 23.1 years old. So he's the oldest. Him and Bashan Tootin are basically the same age. He's 5'10", 219 pounds. My comparison to him is is Mike Allstott. I know that's cliche. They're both big. They're both white. Whatever. But I was surprised he's only 219 pounds.
Yeah, no,
when I see him on the field, I was like, that dude's like 240.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, this guy's got to be like 5'10", 5'11", probably 235, 240, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what?
Yeah.
No.
And the other so a couple things. Scadaboo to me is the most polarizing running back in this draft. There are some experts who say he's a top 3 back, and there are some experts say that he shouldn't be drafted to the 6th round.
Yeah.
So he's one of the few that I'm going to have to let the NFL tell me, because his draft capital and his landing spot are going to matter. If he gets a 6th round pick for some crap whole team that's got 2 other running backs, then I'll be like, all right, well, he most likely won't get the opportunity to be anything. But if he goes somewhere where he's going to be an earlier round, if he's within the, 3rd round would be probably where I would guess he's going to go. Excuse me. And he can get somewhere where he's going to be used, because he is elite in short yardage situations, in my opinion. And I think he's an elite pass catching back. That was the numbers that he put up in the college, or you don't see a lot. Like even in the good pass catching running backs that you just don't see a lot. I can't remember the number, but I'm pretty sure it was like 800 yards he put up this last year in receiving.
Oh wow.
Or maybe it was 600. But either way, it was a lot, especially for a college receiver.
Yeah, it's still really good.
My notes on him are elite pass catcher. I don't know what his top speed is. Reports are it's probably around 4.6 is his 40, but he gets to whatever his speed is in an instant.
And it doesn't matter what's in his way, he's still going to get to that speed.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
True.
Like,
and he runs through. You cannot arm tackle this guy. He will run through. His legs never stop moving. He will get yards. He will rarely be stopped at the line of scrimmage. when even if he stood up, he's rarely going to just only or not get you in yards. His contact balance, I would say, with Ashton and Genty, they're both their contacts are comparable. Like like you said, they weeble, they wobble, they don't fall down.
Yeah.
You can hit these people, and he just doesn't go down.
Like the difference I saw between Genty and Scatterboo as far as like contact goes is Genty took the hit, kept his balance, and pulled through it. Scatterboo literally hit him back as they were hitting him. Like it was a completely different. Like
I'm not trying to comparison them because Genty's far and away a way better running back.
Yeah, no,
I'm just talking
saying,
about as far as like he can, even if he got hit from the sides, he would stay up. He's and like you said, it's definitely straight on.
He's so brute, I guess would be the best word. Like
he's definitely a brute.
Every one of his runs were brute. Where Genty's more finesse, Scatterboo is brute. He's taking every hit and he's using it to his advantage more so than allowing it to take him to the ground and all.
Right.
But he had 605 receiving yards.
600. That's what it was, not 800.
But it's still really good. I mean, considering
that's what I was in the process of doing too.
Yeah, I got you.
But again, so my negatives against him were his speed. He doesn't have breakaway. Get down the field speed. He's a guy who his breakaways are going to be 25 yards.
Yeah.
The other thing is that outside of his contact balance and his ability to run through a motherfucker's face, he just doesn't seem like he should be able to do what he's doing athletically. Like you see him on the field and you're like, okay, and then how did he juke that guy? His juke took 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like how did he make that guy miss? He telegraphed it to the guy in the nosebleed. Was like, hey, he's about to juke, and somehow the dude missed him. And so it was.
I think it's more luck opportunity that let him know.
What I think is, defenders run up and they're like, this guy can't juke, and then he jukes, and they're like, okay, that guy
holy
can
shit,
juke.
he just juked.
He didn't seem like he's a try hard who's going to outwork everybody all the time. And I hate to be so cliche, but that's what he is. He's a grinder. He's gonna show up. He's gonna every play, if he's on the field, no matter if it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, it's going to be 100% of everything he has every single time.
He could end up being drafted by somewhere where he ends up maybe not for his talent wise, but for positional wise, he could end up being just as good as Genty as far as the draft pick goes in fantasy. If he gets it,
I don't think so. I don't think there's anywhere he can go. He can be as good as what Genty is, unless Genty goes to unless Genty goes to the Falcons.
Oh yeah, that would suck really bad for all the way around. But
I don't think there's. I don't know. I just don't. I don't see a. Like I get what you're saying. If he goes somewhere he starts and Genty starts, you're saying because of his pass catching and all that stuff that fantasy wise that he can compete. I just I just can't see that. Genty to me is if I don't know that he'll ever be a running back one, even if he's a starter. And Genty will probably be a running back one from day one.
From day one, yeah. No, I get that. I don't know. I just think I'm thinking as far as value goes for let's say in a dynasty, what you would spend to have Genty, you could probably backtrack. Honestly, I don't know where I'm thinking this. I don't think he's going to finish with similar points, but I think as far as value goes in a dynasty draft, like if you were to grab Scotty, you're going to get him depending on where he ends up.
Let's say you're saying in the right situation. Where you could get, I see. Here's the other. I'll give you my other point, but I think what you're trying to say is the value that you can get Genty. He would be a better value where you can get him than having to spend a 101 to get Genty.
To get Genty.
The only problem I have with that, and you may be right, the only problem I have with that is if Scatterboo ends up, he's already the great white hope.
Yeah. Oh well.
And if he ends up in a situation where he's going to start. He's going to be the bigger great white hope. Everybody's, oh my God, you're not going to get him in any dynasty league.
So
everybody's going to be drafting him first round, top 5. No, hands down.
It's not even going to.
Yeah, he's going to be.
You're going to spend the value anyways, no matter what. Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to make this as racial, but it's what happens. Lad McConkey is the great white hope of wide receivers now, and he's a very good receiver. But you can't get him anywhere for anything close to his value.
Yeah,
because most people are just like, oh my God, Lad McConkey is going to be greater than Jerry Rice.
Yeah, look what
because of what he did in 1 year. Because that's just the nature of.
And that was a situational thing for him too. I mean, no doubt he's a good receiver, but all the stars lined up for that team. Oh yeah, him being there.
Well, Lad McConkey's skill set works very well
with everything that's going there.
You saw oh my God. What's his name? The one in Chicago. 512 years old. He played for the Chargers. Caught a billion passes. Ball headed. Oh my God, dude!
Keenan Allen. I just wanted you to keep going.
You look at me like no. So he was Keenan Allen's role, and he did it perfect. That's why with Keenan Allen leaving, working over the middle field, that's Herbert loves that type of receiver. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. So let's just hypothetical. Let's say Genty goes to the Raiders.
Okay.
In the beginning. And let's say that Scatterboo goes to Pittsburgh. So you got Jalen Warren still at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else there.
Right.
That's going to do anything. And then Genty is the only person at Vegas.
Yeah.
But it's a really shitty offense at Vegas. Even if they get a quarterback and they don't do anything with the defense, there's a lot they need a lot going on for them.
Well, I mean, they've got Geno Smith.
So, I mean, Geno's a good quarterback. Geno's a serviceable quarterback, and
he played for Pete Carroll before Pete knows Geno. I don't think the Raiders are going to be as bad as what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, so. I don't know. We'll see. But let's.
In that situation, it's Genty by a mile.
You think?
I would spend 2 first rounds to get him if he goes to the Raiders. Yeah, because he's going to be the offense, especially with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. It's going to be amazing. Genty is somebody who's going to be successful, in my opinion, barring health.
No matter where he goes.
Okay. Well, I won't say no matter where he goes. Like I said, I mean, he will be successful no matter where he goes, but it'll be levels of success.
Yeah.
If he goes to any team that already has an established guy, I worry that the Panthers are going to do something crazy and take him there at 8. Now, as a Panther fan, that'll be awesome. But they just gave Chuba a ton of money. They're not going to bench Chuba to play Genty unless Genty just shows up and rushes 1.5 billion yards. And so now you're going to have a committee there. And they also went and picked up Dowdle.
Yep.
So I don't think the Panthers
Brooks
are going to do it.
is still there too.
Right. And then you have another situation is Miami at 12.
Yeah.
If Miami takes him at 12 with Achane, they're definitely going to want to run some sort of thunder and lightning type thing.
Which that might not be that bad though.
Right.
That might be good for Achane and
Genty, but there are situations where it's going to cut in. And so in that instance, then I'm a little worried, and that's where Amarian Hampton will come into play.
Yeah,
because if Amarian Hampton ends up in Dallas.
Yeah,
as the dude, and Genty ends up in Miami or ends up, somewhere like that, or what we just talked about, then I might take Amarian Hampton over Genty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially in redraft.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but then you look at situations where I was trying to think. There was a running back that got drafted, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, the dude's never going to see the field," and then he took the job immediately and dominated, and I can't think of it now, but I can give you a linebacker instance. When the Panthers took Luke Kuechly at linebacker, they had John Beeson, a middle linebacker.
Yeah,
and nobody understood why the fuck the Panthers took Luke Kuechly when you got John Beeson, who was at that time one of the top 10 middle linebackers in the NFL. And then John Beeson blew his Achilles or some shit, or maybe it was his knee. Like, I think it might have been in training camp. And anyway, Luke Kuechly took over and never looked back.
Yeah.
So you don't ever know what's going to shake out. But 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 I don't know if Scatterboo went to the Cowboys and they didn't do anything else at running back, and Genty goes like we talked about, I would still take Genty with the 101. But like you said, Scatterboo might end up being a better value late if he's going to be the Cowboys' number 1 running back. You know what I'm saying?
If he's going to turn out to be that,
right?
That
and so, and so it just, a lot of it's going to have to determine. Again, we say this all the time. It's going to have to determine where they land.
The draft is going to determine a lot of what their value is.
But I think, if you look at Bijan got drafted by the Falcons, and we're like, why? They already had a running back.
Yeah,
and Bijan's is good enough that he's, we see that it didn't really matter, ultimately. So that's why I think Genty's in that same level. I don't think it's going to matter even if he goes to Green Bay is another one with Jacobs there. You're going, why the fuck did he take Genty? Well, Jacobs is old as balls, so
Jacobs getting age. You gotta replace that.
So, who's next here? Where are we at? We're on Scatterboo. All right, number 6 is Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon Judkins, yeah.
I like him. He finishes runs very well. He had a nose for the end zone. He averaged a touchdown every 16.4 carries. So to me, I do look a lot into what they do inside the red zone, inside the 10 zone, the 5 zone, and how productive they are to get touchdowns, because to me that's very important for a running back, which is sometimes a deciding factor for me on whether I will take a guy. If he had three touchdowns his senior year in college, but 1,200 rushing yards, you're like, wow, this guy's really good, except for when it gets time to put points on the board. And so that, I do like the fact that he had a way to finish and get those points. But the problems that I had with Judkins, I didn't think he was very explosive, even though he did run a 4.48. He's one of those that just did not show up on the field to me. That speed, that 4.48 speed, I didn't see it. And then he's another one that there's nothing particular. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. He's not exposed to. Sometimes he faded in big games. In 5 of 9 conference games, he averaged under 4 yards a carry. And so, you can take that for what it is. I did not look up what 5 of those were. That was not my stat. I found that stat. So,
yeah.
But it did tell me that there were times where he just wasn't, necessarily dominant when he needed to be. If you look at, again, we talk about Ashton Genty, you go look at what he did because he played at Boise. You go look at what he did against top talent.
Yeah,
he beat the shit out of them too.
He annihilated all the time.
Yeah,
not just some
bad,
of the time.
good. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so but with him, sometimes that wasn't it. But I think we both noticed the same thing independently as far as his speed.
Yeah,
because you were like, what was his 40? And I was like 4.48, and you're like, it does not look like that.
Yeah,
on
it
tape.
doesn't look like that at all.
And so, that was a big red flag for me, because it's like, is he not giving it everything? Is he not always committed? And so I don't know.
Well, this is another guy that Minoski has reached out to me and asked me to, hype up a little more. He's the number 2 running back in this draft class, just in case anybody was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
For no real reason other than talent. Of course, that's what we talk about here is talent. So.
All right, number 7 on the list is Devin Neal out of Kansas, 21.6 years old, 5'11", 213 pounds. He ran a 4.58. Good things. He gets what's blocked. He was very decisive. He, when they set the blocks, boom, he's going. But his burst wasn't really. I didn't get a lot from that. I didn't feel like he was super explosive.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was very creative, meaning that when maybe there's you'll see a run back reverse the field sometimes. They'll run to a hole, the hole close, and boom. Mm-hmm. Well, he would just try to bounce it outside or do something crazy. It didn't seem like he was really willing to look for an alter. Okay, this isn't blocked. I'm going to take what the line gives me.
I'm just going to take whatever I can get instead of trying to gain something extra off of it. Yeah.
And so I guess the best way to say that is he just didn't come across to me as a superior playmaker.
Yeah.
And so that was concerning to me. And again, we talked about it. He just didn't come off as explosive, and maybe that all is encompassing together. His average burst, his lack of creativity and non-explosiveness. Maybe that's the reason why he just takes what was blocked.
He's just he can't think outside of the box. Outside of what's in front of him, he's got to go with what he knows. He
reminded me a lot of not Najee in college, because Najee in college was explosive. He reminded me of what Najee is in the NFL.
Yeah, just a
4 yards, boom, 5 yards, boom. Nothing really.
He
crazy.
Runs and then he's like, this is.
He's not going to be in any Sports Center top 10.
That's all they're giving me. That's all I'm taking.
But you may look at the thing and see, oh my God, he ran the ball 22 times for 110 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
but his longest run in that might be 11 yards.
Yeah,
and so, he
definitely needs volume.
Yes,
yeah,
he definitely needs volume, and he will wear a defense down. So that was Devin Neal. Next one up is, unless you had something else you want to add on, Devin.
No, that's yeah.
Ollie Gordon, the second out of Oklahoma State, 21.2 years old, 6'1", 226 pounds. He ran a 4.61. He was the slowest of the ones that I could get. And so this would be comparison to what you would think that Scatterboo's probably running as well. But he's a downhill runner. Obviously, he has a great stiff arm, and he again also has a nose for the end zone. You get him inside the 5, he'll find his way into it. He will bang his way into it. He did take a lot of big hits though, because he will run upright at times, and he does not have a lot of lateral movement in my estimation. And so he's just a big bruiser type back, and that's basically what he profiles to be for me. You know?
I mean, he felt. I don't know. He felt slow to me over his speed. Like there was times when you could see him get up and go, but it still didn't. I mean,
4.61 is definitely
that's what I'm saying. It didn't feel like your running back speed. Like there's some guys that are ranked a lot lower than him, in my opinion, that just feel bigger and faster, even though they're not.
Yeah, well, I mean, based off the rings we got, we're about to hit some guys here real quick. Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, 20.5 years old, 5'8", 200 pounds. He did not run a 40. That I could find. He may have ran at pro day, but I didn't look into it. But he's very shifty. He's quick in space, but he does fumble the ball. And here's the problem I had. He would not hit the hole. Like he's like a punt returner. He's like a kick returner type guy to me. But when you're a running back, you got to run what's schemed. And then if it's not there, then you figure shit out. He was figuring shit out when shit was schemed was there, and I'm just like, hit the hole. And
4.42 at pro day.
Oh, okay, so he's definitely got the speed.
He's definitely got speed. Yeah.
I mean, the speed was on tape, so I figured he's fast. And then he, again, about not hitting the hole. A lot of times he wouldn't follow the block.
Yeah,
and it's like, to be a good running back, especially if you're only going to be 200 pounds, you need space to work. You need to follow the block. You need to hit the hole that they make for you, instead of trying to dance in the back and try to make people miss when you didn't need to. Just make it, get upfield. All right. So next guy, we're going to kind of hit these pretty quick. RJ Harvey out of UCF, 24.1. He is the oldest running back of the top ones that's coming out. 5'8", 205 pounds. He ran a 4.40. I thought he would drop a shoulder, 205 pounds. He was a bruiser for his size. To me, this guy could be, RJ Harvey could be somebody we never hear about again, or he could be somebody where we're like, holy shit,
this guy's starting.
Yeah, he could be like a Bucky Irvin type, where we're just like, he kind of comes out of nowhere. He has that ability to me. He's probably my favorite late down the list running back. I like what I saw out of him. And I don't know. I just worry that he's going to take too many big hits. He tries to run bigger than he is.
My biggest knock is his size. I mean, he's only 5'8", 200 pounds. I mean, 205 pounds.
Yeah, but I mean, McCaffrey was only 205 pounds. So that's what that's the thing that I try to remember. But I would love him to be bigger. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just really going to be about he's really going to be about where he ends up.
Well, his protection.
Yeah.
What's going to help him get that first initial burst out? Yeah,
absolutely.
He could definitely be a big one.
And then I hope I get this right. Bishol Tootin out of Virginia Tech, 23.1 years old.
Sounds right. Yeah.
5'9", 206 pounds. He ran a 4.3, 240. He's fast. He's quick in space. But I didn't feel like he was very decisive. He needs to get the ball and go.
Yeah.
Get it and go. Use that speed, get upfield, put stress on the defense.
Yeah.
I think sometimes with these guys that are good kick returners, when they get the ball in their hand, their first thing is they're looking to see where the stuff's set up. It's like, no, dude, you're a running back. You're not going to stand. You don't get to stand back and see what's set up.
Yeah.
You got to get up in it and follow what's supposed to be set up. And then if it's not there, you figure shit out.
Yeah.
You don't get to stand there for a second and see if it's going to work out or not. Get it and get upfield, because sometimes the hole's only open long enough for you to get through the motherfucker.
Yeah. Once you're through, you could be gone.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to think.
Exactly.
You just got to run.
You watch Saquon Barkley run. When Saquon Barkley gets the ball, he is where the run is designed to go.
Yep.
And if it don't work out, then he figures it out.
Yep.
Sometimes with him, when we talked about with Dylan Sampson, they want to kind of lay back and see if the block's open and see what's there and sort it out and get that kind of kick returner vision, and it's like that doesn't work for running backs a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, these are the guys that will probably end up as kick returners.
Oh, 100%.
And then might work their way into the offense and get a little extra.
Right. And so that was mainly the biggest ones. The other ones that are worth mentioning, we're not going to really dive into. DJ Giddens out of Kansas State. He was very good production profile coming out of there. He ran a 4.43, 21.6 years old, 6 foot tall, 212 pounds. Trevor Etienne out of Georgia. What little bit I saw of him, it didn't really impress me. Plus, he's under 200 pounds.
Yeah,
he's 20.7, 5'9", 198 pounds. Raheem Sanders out of South Carolina. I didn't really watch a ton of him, but he's 21.8 years old, 6 foot tall, 217 pounds. And then Damian Martinez out of Miami, 21.6 years old, 6 foot tall, 217 pounds. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong about this, I think Damian Martinez was injured his senior year, so there wasn't a lot of tape for him. But I know one of these running backs was. I can't remember who it was. That's me just throwing shit out there without doing the full research. That's how I roll.
It's enough. It's enough information. I mean,
but there it is. There's the quarterbacks. There's the running backs as we see them, and then next week we'll break down the wide receivers and the tight ends as we get ready to move forward and get ready for the draft. Excuse me. We'll try to get one pre-draft mock draft in.
Ooh.
And do that. Well,
yeah. I mean, we got 3 weeks, and then we're gonna be like the 22nd.
What'd you say? It was the 24th?
22nd through the 24th, I think.
Okay.
I think that was the dates.
I thought it was the 24th or the 26th.
I could be retarded.
Well, because that Monday's the 28th.
Yeah, that's probably right then. Yeah, that's probably right.
The reason you said the 22nd is because that's what I told you, and then you looked it up and told me it was the 24th.
Oh, well,
so now we reversed because you informed me and I took over your brain.
You took over my brain and then made me all over the place. Yes, 24th through the 26th.
Okay. So yeah. So today, what's today? The 8th.
Today is the 8th.
So we're 16 days away.
Yeah, like a little over 2 weeks. So. Start getting prepped, getting ready, start guessing where you think these people are going to end up.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for Dynasty. I mean, this is going to be.
Yeah, I'm excited for the running backs. I have I got a couple of dynasties that I've been rebuilding. I think we're in both of them where I've got early round picks, and the way that I do it, when I take a rebuild, the first thing I do is burn away all the running backs for capital. I don't want any running back on the roster that's worth a damn.
Yeah, because
by the time my team's ready, they're going to be old busted anyway. And I need capital. But now I'm primed.
You're in a place.
Yeah, and so now I'm in a place where if I can get 2 of these running backs and they play out, I might be. I'm not saying I'm winning the championship next year, but I'm on the up.
You're gonna let them know you're there.
Yeah.
You're gonna let them know you're there at least.
I won't be at the top of the draft next year.
Yeah, exactly.
If everything works out.
Exactly.
and so yeah. So I'm excited. This is a good draft. This 2025 draft is a good draft to need running backs in. And so it's not a good draft. You need wide receivers. I'm going to tell you that.
Or quarterbacks.
Or quarterbacks. So,
or I mean, even really tight ends.
I mean, at the top of the draft. There's a couple at the top, but
I mean, outside of that, you better hope you drafted some wide receivers last year.
I do want to throw this out there for anybody listening. So I had a league that I bounced out of, because there was a trade that went through that the commissioner was involved in. That was. This is a dynasty. It was Brock Bowers straight up for Travis Kelce. Now, anybody who knows anything about dynasty, you know that that's a shit trade right now.
Yeah,
we're not talking about Travis Kelce in his prime. We're talking about Travis Kelce at the tail end of his career
next year.
Yeah, and even if he was a top 5 tight end last year, the distance between number 5 and number 1 in just a season a lot of times is pretty big, and he wasn't even close to Brock Bowers' level, and moving forward down the road. But either way, that's not nearly the point. I'm not here to argue the trade. At first, when it went through, I thought it was a joke, but then come to realize that the commissioner was serious, and then a couple of us spoke up, and he got pissed, and he reversed the trade. But then he turned into a dick, and kept running his mouth. And then him and another guy got in a spat. He booted that guy, and I was like, you know what? I ain't got time for this shit, because I got a ton of leagues. I don't need leagues that are just going to be stressing me, and I got to worry about a commissioner who thought that trade was a valid trade.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't like predatory trading. I never like it. The guy that he traded with, maybe it was his buddy. I don't know. It was a guy that just came in the league who seems like maybe he ain't as experienced. Maybe it was a whole setup. Maybe the commissioner was both guys and he was trading himself, because there's been instances of that in leagues that I've been in.
Yep.
But if you're going to commission a fantasy league, if you're going to be a league commissioner, you have to have some kind of integrity yourself. I have, and this, I don't want this to be me tooting my horn, because this isn't me tooting my horn. I learned this because I listened to other podcasts about being commissioners, and because I wasn't raised to be a fucking, predator. But if everybody wants to win, I get that. Everybody wants to win their trades, and I have taken people's heads off in trades. I have done that. Don't get me wrong. But it's people that were, quote, experienced, and that was their deals. One guy I worked a deal with for 3 solid days back and forth. He was trying to send me all this garbage. I didn't want it. I finally shut the deal down, and then he came back with a deal that I just couldn't turn down.
Yeah.
And I have been going back and forth with this guy, so I know that he wasn't just some schlep off the street that didn't know what he's doing. So I took his head off. And I've taken friends' heads off in drafts, but as a commissioner, I have never taken anybody's head off in a trade, because I have to, if I'm going to be up here doing stuff like that, then I can't, how am I ever going to come back to the league and be like, you can't do this. Yeah. This trade is garbage, and you are affecting the integrity of the league. If you let bad trades go through as a commissioner, I mean, completely, absolutely lopsided trades, you will ruin your leagues. It pisses off other owners, because other owners are also trying to compete. And if you let one predatory guy go in and just completely decimate some other
take advantage
teams
of these other ones,
and then you let them create this, and then it upsets the balance of the league, and it upsets everybody else, because not everybody in that league is heartless enough to go to this one guy who doesn't know what he's taking to the cleaners.
Yeah.
And I have had people, when I've made trades, they send me an offer. Hey, and I go, why are you sending me this offer? Well, because I really want whoever. And I go, well, you're not sending enough, or you're sending too much, or you're not asking enough from me for what you're offering me to get this. So let's do this. If you want this guy, how about I add a 3rd round pick? How about I add this other player that's a prospect? How about I do this to make the trade seem a little bit better? But here's the deal. If I was you, I wouldn't do this deal. I would keep what you have, because what you have is ultimately, in my opinion, more valuable and better
than what you're getting. Yeah,
and
exactly.
if they insist, then I'll help them find an equitable deal between the two of us, so that I can still walk out here as a commissioner and say, I'm not going to allow shitty trades to go through.
Yeah.
But if you're a commissioner and you're all about taking shitty trades, then you're garbage. If you're a commissioner who's all about just, putting together a league so you can go in there and scam people out of money, or scam people, whatever, or you and your buddies can try to do super things, you're garbage. And we live in a world, bro, I don't know if you noticed, but this world's kind of falling apart around us. And I got to get up every day, and I got to go to work, and I got to pay bills, and I don't have time to come in here and deal with some shady ass commissioner in a fantasy league who's out here trying to screw people over with crappy trades, and then get pissed off when he's called out about it. And so if that's the type of people that exist, and that's what you got to do to make yourself feel better, I'm just better off, rolling. So be better, be honorable, and realize at the end of the day, bro, unless you're in thousands of dollar leagues, it's a few $100s at best. And if you got to screw people over for a few $100s, then you got bigger issues going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my 2 cents. And
I think that's 12 or 13 cents, but yeah, no. Definitely.
So, again, if anything we say or do helps you get to that average place in your leagues, then that means we did our job, because we all know if you finish average, it means you didn't finish last. So we hope you guys have a good one out there getting ready for this draft for Dynasty, and we shall talk to you next week.
Later.
Oh, God. Hold on.
Wait.
Holla.